The final component of the Office of Justice program that we will discuss that is a grant-making agency is the Office for Victims of Crime. So the first grant program from last year that I wanted to highlight was the Services for Victims of Human Trafficking grant. This was a program that made 30 awards, 10 per category. It is a 36-month grant program and does have a required 25% cash or in-kind budget match. The purpose areas vary. The eligibility, though, is largely the same. This is a grant program where nonprofits can be the applicant as well. A lot of the other programs we've discussed that this has not been the case, but this one, a nonprofit could be the applicant. And the funding amounts range from $350,000 to $750,000. So let's walk through the purpose areas really quickly. Purpose area 1 is where you would apply if you have not been doing a lot of work around human trafficking and you want to have a planning phase that allows you to think about building up that capacity and strengthening your partnerships. During the first 12 months, you develop a plan to increase your capacity to serve this population, and then you use the following 2 years to implement that plan. Purpose areas 2 and 3 are for experienced providers in this area, and the focus is on enhancing services, whether that is in just expanding the geographic area that's being served, or perhaps you've been working in sex trafficking but haven't been focused on labor trafficking. You could apply to move into a new area in Purpose Area 3, or you could expand or enhance the scope in some way of work or services that you are delivering. The objectives here is really to strengthen collaboration and training among local partners, and they do specifically call out members of the judiciary in this particular solicitation. Assistance, referrals, provision of essential services, all can be provided under this grant program. I used 2 pages of my slides to talk about the types of services that are called out in the solicitation that are allowable services. There is an area of advocacy and legal assistance that may be of interest to some of you. And then there's additional services that are health-related, safety-related, education, employment support, all sorts of really exciting areas that can be funded under this particular grant program. The second program is similar to the first one in title, but a little bit different focus. This particular grant program is called the Improving Outcomes for Child and Youth Victims of Human Trafficking grant program. There were only 4 awards this last year, so it is competitive, very competitive, and the length of the awards are 36 months with a match of 25% cash or in kind, but the grant amounts are up to $1.5 million. The focus here is on sex trafficking as well as labor trafficking, and there's lots of definitional issues provided here. And this is a grant program that is really focused on statewide or tribal jurisdiction level interventions. So here they're looking for a strategy that is developed and written in an action plan or a strategy plan that intends to document lessons learned during implementation and serving this particular population. There's a focus on developing protocols and procedures to ensure that children and youth receive appropriate services. There's a focus on training, and again, they call out training to judicial personnel, as well as law enforcement, first responders, victim service providers, healthcare professionals. Really exciting, broad ability to do outreach and awareness type activities under this program. Also a focus on conducting data collection and evaluation activities to determine if the program is meeting its goals and objectives. And then filling the gaps in services and coordinating responses and thinking through how to do that at the local level across all of these different agencies. The next grant program is the Enhancing Community Responses to America's Addiction Crisis, Serving Our Youngest Crime Victims. There were 25 awards made under this program last year, and the length of awards were 36 months with no match required. The funding amount was $700,000. The objectives here under Purpose Area 1, which is the only purpose area I'm going to chat about, are increasing the quality and quantity of services that are available either to infants suffering from neonatal abstinence syndrome or children, youth, and their caregivers, providing assistance, referrals to essential services, collaborating with and providing training to local partners, improving outcomes in some way as a result of service provision, and encouraging the use of local data sources. The definition of what they mean by youngest crime victims is laid out here. So that's a child, youth, or a newborn. You can serve individuals, I believe, up to 18 years old under this grant program. By victim of crime, they mean specifically youth and children and infants who are alleged to be victims of child abuse or neglect, physical or sexual assault, or domestic and family violence, or DUIs and DWIs. And then addiction is used broadly here to refer to any type of substance abuse. Similar to other programs we've seen, you can provide direct services, referrals, trauma-informed services, training, accompaniment to meetings, court hearings, appointments, the provision of medical services, including treatment for neonatal abstinence syndrome, emotional support to young victims who may be at the scene of overdose, whether that's fatal or non-fatal, and then the provision of all types of services. So that is your summary of grant programs that were offered last year under the Office for Victims of Crime.